this is a policy choice to have these problems and to have us turn on each other. These are policy decisions, and where do they make those decisions? They make them in the state capitol, and they make them in Congress. And when Congress gets together for a session, do you think they're doing the bidding of the homeless, the mentally ill, and the addicted, and the workers? Or do you think that the session of Congress is doing a bidding of the military-industrial complex and the handful of billionaires who own our media? That's exactly what a session of Congress is not there for you or your interests. No matter who you fucking vote for in Congress, they're there to screw you, and that's including AOC, Rashid Tlaib, Jamal Bowman, Cory Bush, all of those people. They're there to screw you, and they're doing it because none of them give a fuck about this problem, as none of them have a solution or even proposing solutions to do anything about it. They're going to tell you to vote for Joe Biden, who's making sure we have an open border, lower our standard of living, create problems in cities that are, and then won't fund the cities that take care of the immigrants that come. This is coming again from the top down, from the billionaire class that run the entire world. They're not only doing it in the United States, they're doing this in Europe too. They're doing this in Ireland. They're doing this. We've seen this all across the world now. This is what they're doing in France. They're doing this everywhere.
Wait, hold on. The people coming in illegally, bum rushing the border, they'll pay a lot of money to put them up in your kid's school or in a nice hotel.
That's right.
But these junkies here, the ones that are from here, right? No, put them in jail.
Put them in jail.
Everybody coming illegally. Right this way. Yep. Hey, could they stay at your house? Imagine they're asking people to keep illegal immigrants in their house. You could shoot a homeless American for trespassing. That's your lead.
This is what happens when you're ruled by criminals. This is what.
Who still believes in this shit?
This country is over, and unless we have a real revolution, and we have to follow the lead of the truckers in Canada, and we have to follow the lead of Christian Smalls on Staten Island, we have to join together. We have to join together with Bernie Sanders voters and Trumpers and Nikki Haley voters. We have to join together with Joe Biden voters. Everybody has to come together to overthrow this government, because only a revolution will save us. That's how fucked up it is right now. You think voting for Joe Biden is any materially better than voting for anybody else, including Donald Trump? You are wrong. Joe Biden is a criminal of the highest order, and the people around him are criminalizing anybody who goes up against their establishment, whether it's Stop Cop City protesters, entire political movements they are making criminalized, and they're throwing people in jail. And they're doing propaganda on you because Barack Obama got rid of the law that says that the CIA and the FBI can't do propaganda on Americans. They're doing that. And so this is all being manufactured, just like the Black Lives Matters were manufactured by the FBI and the CIA and the deep state. And that was to make everyone feel on edge and afraid to vote for Donald Trump. And that's what that was all about, just like they're doing to Bolsonaro in Brazil. The same thing, and then they're doing to Stop Cop City. So if you think they're only going to do it to MAGA, and they're only going to do it to Joe Biden, to Donald Trump, they're doing it to Black Urus. They're doing it to, how do you say it?
Black Uhuru is the group that
that's right. Socialists, bullshit. Black socialists. They said they were working with Putin and Russia.
They might be an I Hate White People club. I don't give a shit. So we're not puppets of Russia.
That's right.
They can say whatever the fuck they want.
And so if you don't think they'll do, that's why I was so upset when Cornel West came on the show and pretended that fascism wasn't already in America and that somehow it would come to America if we voted for Trump. It's been here for quite a while, but people who live in ivory towers don't feel it, and they're part of the shit lib class. So they don't. So that's why he came on the show.
It's not fascism unless a shitlib gets fired from their security job. Security.
That's right. It's only fascism when someone gets fired for plagiarism, and they pretend it's about skin color.
Or when you don't let a dildo book into third grade.
Or you don't let a dildo book into a third grade. That's right. Then it's fascism. So this is a global game being played. There are no countries. There are only companies in the international transfer of dollars, and the ruling class wants you to feel on edge and afraid. And they want to criminalize anybody who stands up against them. And this all started with Occupy Wall Street. And so when Occupy Wall Street happened, you saw you saw that the establishment shit their pants and they immediately turned Americans against other Americans.
Yeah, culture
because
war.
Occupy Wall Street was people from the left, right, and the center coming together to oppose their oligarchy. And they immediately tried to divide and conquer. And the way they did that was they told half the people that occupy Wall Street that the other half were white supremacists and Nazis. And that a bunch of them hated gay people and all this shit was
Blue
completely
hair dye was somehow involved.
Was completely manufactured to keep us fighting about things that didn't have to do with Occupy Wall Street's concerns. And so that's what we've been fighting over ever since. Look at the studies that they've done about the mentions of racism and white supremacy in the New York Times, the Washington Post, immediately after Occupy Wall Street. It's skyrocketed. Even though racism has been going down in America and we elected a black president twice overwhelmingly, the mentions of white supremacy and racism have skyrocketed.
That's because there's a lot more black and brown white supremacists now.
And they'll call anybody a white supremacist. They called Cornel West a fucking white supremacist. They called who's that guy who ran for governor here? Larry Elder. They call him. And it doesn't matter if you're black.
Vivek is a white supremacist.
Vivek also. They'll call anybody a white supremacist. Because that's the only tool they have.
They'll write an Atlantic piece all about how this is a real thing.
So this is the game that's being played. And people need to wake up to this game. And as soon as you go down the identity politics road, and that's why I was so hard on Cornel West when he came on this show, because he ought to know better. And if he didn't know better, shame on him. But he did know better. And he just doesn't have the courage to say what's really happening in America. He doesn't have the courage to call out the liberal class the way he ought to. And he wants to pretend that and people like him, and I don't want to make it about Cornel West, but he wants to make that just like people like him in his liberal ivory tower class want you to be afraid of your neighbor. They want you to blame your neighbors the fascists. You got to be afraid of MAGA and these political movements. No, you got to be afraid of the handful of billionaires that control the deep state, the FBI, the CIA, and every session of Congress that is working against you. That's who we need to, and we need to overthrow the goddamn government. Literally, we need to do it peacefully, and it can be done. And we had to
voting for Trump. That is the
follow. They can't have Brexit. They can't have Trump voting. They can't have any of that. And the way they do this is control us is through narrative control and getting us to hate each other and be afraid of each other and don't fall for it. And that's been the message of the Jimmy Dore Show for a long time, that the left and the right, we are not each other's enemies. We have more in common than it divides us, and we share a common enemy, and it's the same common enemy we had at Occupy Wall Street. It's the billionaire class that have been screwing us for the last 50 or 60 years. You don't live in a democracy. Democracy hasn't been on the ballot since, 1960. You live in an oligarchy, and that was proven over a decade ago by the Princeton study. Democracy's not on the ballot. Liberty's not on the ballot. There is no ballot. The ballot has been hand chosen by a couple of billionaires who run everything. And that's a fucking fact. And so it's time for everybody to quit their pettiness and their stupid fights over bathrooms.
Stop culture wars.
Stop your culture.
Because you don't have a culture.
Stop your white supremacy. You got no culture. Stop your screaming about white supremacy and racism and Nazis. There's real Nazis running things, and they're called the WEF, and they're called the billionaire class. And they have complete control. You live in a security state. Already, every phone call, text, and email you send is already being collected by the government. They'll already can call you a terrorist and throw you in jail with indefinite detention. We're living on a liberty view from somewhere around the 1100s in this country. So the idea that somehow fascism might come to this country is a fucking joke.
Hey, remember when the Islamic terror, and I remember these bastards thought they could tell us what we could say and if we could draw a guy. Remember that?
Yeah, remember that?
They were going to press us. They were going to put a burqa on the women and what? They have more freedom to express themselves than us now.
That's right.
There's way more forbidden Salman Rushdie stab me words.
Well, look what they did.
Than any Arab country here.
Look at what they're doing to this. I can't express.
Somebody try to stab Dave Chappelle like you Salman Rushdie.
Yeah. Look what they're doing. That's right.
With a gun knife.
Yeah. Look what they're doing to the Stop Cop City protesters. They're literally criminalizing them because they're opposing the police state. And they're using the same RICO statute, the same grand jury they're using to go after Trump and MAGA. They're using to go after those people. When are people going to wake up? Now, Cornel West pretended he didn't get that and he was somehow dumber than me, which was a real embarrassment to him and his reputation. It wasn't an embarrassment to me. And I hope he makes up for it.
Oh, Fannie Wilson's also using RICO charges on that Stop Cop City.
Yeah.
I wonder if they're happy about this, her affairs blowing up the Trump thing, because she sounds like she sucks. She sounds like a real sack of shit.
Okay, well, I made my speech. I hope everybody gets it. That's the message of this. Your enemy is not your neighbor. Your enemy is being crushed by the same oligarchy that you're being crushed by, and they want you to blame it on your neighbor and be afraid of your neighbor and beg for authoritarianism. They could fix homelessness at the snap of a finger. They can make sure you have health care at the snap of a finger. They make sure everybody in Israel has health care. They make sure everybody in Ukraine has health care. They just won't give you health care because then they can't control you. Because then you could have, you could actually leave a job. You could actually organize. You could actually oppose those people without fear of losing your health care. That's why they'll never give it to you. And so that's why we need to get smart, like the truckers, and we need to have farmers and truckers and everybody take their vehicles, go to D.C., shut that fucking place down and overthrow the government.